Today we're joined by Hugo Manoukian, the founder and former CEO of MoovOne. Hugo, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks, Sarah, for having me.
So, Hugo, as I mentioned, you were the founder of MoveOne, which was acquired by Cocha back in 2021. And more recently, you launched into the business angel universe. Tell us more about that and what you're up to now.
Yeah, I actually thank you for hosting me on this podcast. I'm Hugo. I'm 37, former CEO and co-founder of MoveOne, as you said. So I exited Coach Up a few years ago now, and I'm currently being a business angel. I have like almost 40 lines in direct, and also investing in a lot of VC funds in France, Europe, and in the US as well. So this is
Wow.
basically what I do. I do a lot of advisory as well for many talented entrepreneurs and people looking to scale their business. And I'm also, I'm an entrepreneur 100%. So I'm looking at the next step for me. Already set a new venture into consulting field, let's say, around the board memberships. It's called Adopt on Board. It's a French
Okay.
focus for now, and it's more to relieve entrepreneurs from getting to have access to the best board members out there.
Mm. Okay, so is it like kind of like a marketplace
Yeah.
almost for a startup? Okay, nice. And what motivated you to create that because of your own experience?
Definitely. I mean, it's a mix. It's a mix
Mm,
between my own experience as a founder, a CEO for almost 7, 8 years total, where I've been facing a lot of challenges, like everyone, but feeling alone at
mm,
many times, where you need some strategic advices and also someone who cares about
mm.
you, about where you are. You're someone you can feel at ease and comfortable to talk with.
Yeah,
So first, this is it, and yeah, just to finish that, it's more my experience as an advisor, because like sometimes you're
mm,
kind of helping people, but you're feeling that you're missing something, and so
mm.
I think the matchmaking is clearly essential if you want to have a good
Yeah,
board member.
for sure. And definitely, this goes in line with our topic today, which is all about how do we get to the deeper needs of our prospects, of our clients, of the people who we're trying to build relationships with in order to accelerate closing or move forward with our relationship in general. So, to kick off the discussion, how do you go beyond just the surface level needs of your client to uncover the deeper and often the unspoken requirements that can significantly impact the success of a B2B sales cycle?
Actually, that's the key difference between, let's say, the science of sales and the art of
Mm,
sales. And definitely, you can run a sales process just following the steps, natural steps of
mm,
a first meeting, then second meeting, then closing meeting, proposal, and so on. This is, let's say, the classical path. But
mm.
if you want to really get and nail the sales process, you have to get into the psychological surface
Yeah.
layer, let's say. And the psychological is key if you want to understand deeply how someone is taking a decision.
Mm,
And what we're speaking about is when a decision maker is having a clear decision to take between two options, two solutions that both have great qualities, strength, and weaknesses. At the end of it, it's does the sales, do I have the impression, the perception that the sales representative has been listening to me enough, understanding my needs, and also, let's say, capturing what's the key triggers. And the triggers are most of the time psychological triggers. So let's take maybe an example, Sarah. It might be more
mm,
insightful. I remember one time I was at MoveOne. I was actually dealing with a huge corporate in the luxury industry in France with the HR leader. So MoveOne basically was a digital coaching platform. So we sell coaching services and coaching solution to enterprise level companies. And what
okay.
happened is we almost get the deal ready and signed, but at the final, there was a freeze at the final stage. We didn't understand why. It was completely, we were completely blinded by what happened because everything was on
Yeah.
track, And actually, I get to call the client myself. I was the CEO, so I was the last person who had to
Kind of the
call,
end of the line. Yeah.
Yeah, end of the line. I'll say, okay, I told my rep guy, I'm gonna take that call myself
Mhm.
because this is too important for our closing and the pipeline that we were targeting. So I'm gonna take the call, and I took the call. It took almost 30 minutes, and I really tried to create the good atmosphere
Mhm.
and the good mindset, saying, well, if you don't want to sign, I understand, that's fine, but I just want to get to know you a bit more and understand what's underneath.
Yeah.
And actually, she told me, well, Hugo, I'm gonna be honest here. I'm feeling it's too much risk for me. It's too much
Mhm.
risk, and I'm afraid in a way. So there is some fears behind that. If it's not a success, I'm gonna be at risk in my own job.
Yeah.
So if you don't get that in the first meetings, that the decision maker is insecure on
Mhm.
on on having this type of decision, and that you have to build security for them, you won't have the deal. It's 100%
Mm.
sure. Or if you have it, you will have trouble in, in,
Yeah.
in the following rounds. So it really means that psychology is key. And if you don't get to that psychology layer, understanding each other, I'm sure you cannot have accuracy and actually win high and big deals if you want.
Yeah. Because also as well, when you're looking at how do we actually get to that psychological level, because that's rather deep, right? That's not necessarily something that maybe your prospect is just going to divulge to you on the first meeting.
Yeah.
So how did you get to that level of trust, and what kind of specific techniques or approaches did you use to create that environment where you felt like your counterpart, right, at this luxury company could say to
Yeah.
you, hey, I'm a little bit nervous about how this is going to impact me.
Well, you're right. That's not an easy move, and you have to get ready for that. I
Mm,
think it's as any relationship, it's about being honest and being spontaneous. So do not play. Let's say what not to do is to play this sharky sales process that say,
okay.
when do you sign? Here is the contract. Where do you
Mm,
sign? So this is the worst thing ever, because it creates a lot of pressure, and
yeah.
people feel well, just oftenly they will respond by kind of a violence, or let's say a big reaction, and that's not what you want. So definitely it takes a bit of time to understand. um, I think what I do usually is accept and express my vulnerabilities, my feeling vulnerable. I don't know how to say, but you're gonna do it better.
Yeah.
So it's no, accept that
Yeah.
you do have some fears yourself, that
Mm,
you're feeling insecure at maybe some different levels, but since there is some insecurity also on your
mm,
side, and be able to express that. For example, I remember one day I expressed to a prospect that, yeah, I wasn't. It was a tough play for us.
mm,
We had a lot of, let's say, yeah, fears, and things could go wrong on our side too. And yeah, it was hard for me to be in my position. So
yeah.
to express yourself too, and play the game, play the
Yeah.
game. And secondly, is having the right matrix of analysis. For
Mm,
example, I use a lot the disc model. So, the color, it's kind of, you have four colors which express or defines four types of behaviors.
okay.
So you have the yellow, which is more joy, people who are very joyful, and
Yeah.
they want only positive. If you tell them anything negative, it's bad
Yeah.
for them. You have the red colors, which
Mm,
is more challengers.
mm,
They really want to win. They want
yeah.
to go fast, and yeah, and achieve things.
Mm,
You have The blue ones more engineering stuff, like they want to understand,
Yeah.
being very
Analytical.
analytical and stuff.
Mm.
And then the green ones who want the methodology, they want to understand to be comfortable in the
Mm.
relationship and at ease with people. So it's really this type of stuff. For example, is a matrix. You have
Yeah.
many of them, like the MBTI and many others. But I really think that every sales should go under psychology one-on-one, to be
Mm.
honest. So if they want to succeed, they have to go under that types of courses to
Yeah.
understand who am I in front. So, for example, Sarah, you're special, you're
Mm.
unique. You have a unique mix of those four colors, and
Yeah.
so you're rainbow in a way. And so it means like how will I adapt to that, and
Mm.
what will it say on your decision process for me as a sales? How will you take your decision, and how do I put you in the shoes, in the best position possible to take the right decision at the
Mm.
end? And it's my responsibility. It's not yours. It's my responsibility as a sales. So
Yeah.
this is definitely what you want to know. And finally, motivations triggers.
Mm.
This is more not about there are the behaviors and motivations, and this is both something you wanna understand.
Yeah. And if I understand correctly, too, it's about because so often we talk about, okay, we have, the decision maker, we have the economic buyer, we have these people who play different roles. And there we're really focused on the external relationship, maybe that the individual has within their organization, right? But what you're saying is we also need to understand what makes up that individual person and the different elements that can influence them. Would you say that it's also important then for the salesperson to understand their own psychology, right? And how that interacts with their
So
prospect?
much,
Yeah.
so much. And honestly, to be honest, you cannot understand really people if you don't
Mm.
first start with you. So
Yeah.
definitely, I mean, you can put in place any methodology, and this is a word for the sales leaders.
Mm.
Head of sales, sales lead, and stuff. You can place any methodology you want. If you don't have a team interested in learning more about a bit about themselves, um, knowing how to deal with their emotions, because sales is
Yeah.
about it's emotional, for sure. Like
Yeah.
when someone doesn't sign a deal that he was expected to, it will create a lot of stress. When
Mm.
you're challenged during a demo session, and you have to really answer the objections and give some good, feedbacks and stuff.
Mm.
This is stressful too, or this is
Yeah.
emotional, and many good emotions as well when you win a huge deal and you're so happy. So definitely, it's about emotion. And for sales leaders, one my advice is they have to train their people, or to guide in a way their
Mm.
people into learning more about themselves, and also learning about their prospects and the psychology that they can be facing in their day-to-day lives.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And this is really important, like you said, in moments of objection, or right when you're being challenged. So when you're in your experience, when you've been faced with this resistance or maybe this hesitation from your clients, how do you approach the situation to uncover more of those root causes and those deeper concerns to help move your sales cycle forward?
Well, first, I'm breathing. So
Okay.
first, take a good breath. No, honestly, it could
Yeah.
be like, what the fuck? I mean, but honestly, this is key. It's something really important.
Mm.
Like, take a brief, because when you receive that, it could be like an attack in a way, or
Yeah.
you're kind of taking it pretty much personally. So, okay, take a deep
Mm.
breath, and then begin to think about, okay, if I understand you well, this is what is behind it. So try to rephrase. This is
Mm.
something very important in sales. Rephrase, because there is a difference between what I think, what my mouth is saying, what
Yeah.
I hear, and what my mind is understanding. So I'm
Mm.
always very conscious about this gap. And what we call noises in a way. When you do physics and stuff, you try to reduce the noises. The noise. The noise is this um, uh, gap of analysis and between what I wanted to say and what I actually understood. So there is a difference here. So most of the time I rephrase. I use open questions and powerful questions. Sometimes out of the blue, like this is true. I ask one big prospect of my own in a big deal. I ask them, okay, let's step a step back. If you had a magic stick, a magic
A wand,
if you
a
were
magic wand. Yeah.
sorry,
Yeah.
a magic wand, what would you do using it? How would you use it in that specific situation? Or trying to get out of, let's say, the actual issue we were facing, just to take a step back. And sometimes you say, oh, okay, I get to understand what's behind the truth. And I really like, there was one series a few years ago saying the truth is never where it is really. Like, let's say there is another reality, and
Yeah.
sometimes there is this, let's say, pragmatic reality level, but you have to find what's an alternative reality. And sometimes there is a lot of insights in this alternative. For example, the political side. I remember one day, someone just wanted me to. They say, okay, if I sign this deal, what can you do for me? And I didn't understood really what's behind that. And then I get to understand a bit more and say, okay, can you tell me more? And we went through this conversation where actually the client told me, um, actually I need to shine. I mean, I'm in the middle of my career. I don't know what I'm gonna do later. How can you help? And actually the deal was bound to this type of conversation where as as a CEO of a startup, I could maybe help this person to shine
Yeah.
more and to take a new role maybe in the future. So actually we made a very great video team testimonial video of this client, and actually she gets promoted. So it's very, I mean, not only for with
Yeah.
us, but I think we helped, and the deal was that simple in a way.
Yeah, it reminds me of conversations that I've had too with other sales leaders where they say, when we're talking with our prospect or with our client, we need to go beyond just what the value that our solution brings, but we need to look what we as an organization can do, right, to move that individual forward. And I think, the theme of the conversation today is really don't forget about the importance of the individual, right, when you're having that
Yeah,
negotiation, right?
honestly, with the rise of AI, if sales reps do not invest more of their time and energy into getting to really know the other human in front of them, who is for now still taking the decision, well, we will miss a lot of things. And honestly, it could be a big change in the sales, even in the sales position in a way
Yeah.
that could evolve pretty badly if we don't take this new approach, saying, okay, I'm making a deal, individual deal with the prospect, and it's not only the company to company, it's one to one, and it's only like that you can make the best deals.
Yeah, for sure. And you brought up AI. I'm curious, do you think AI can help as well? Like, I understand that it can potentially be a risk, right? Because we could depend a little bit too much on it. Maybe it causes us to be a bit generic in our approach. Can we also use it to help us dig a little deeper into our prospect on an individual level?
Yeah, I think so. Many ways. First, it can help you understand better what is said or not. Like, you do record some sales calls, for example. There are some tools, but how do you use that data?
Yeah.
How do you actually leverage that analysis of what has been said or not and stuff like that? Also, the second thing is, I don't know, out of let's say this 8 hours, 10 hours work day of a sales, how many hours is he or she is spending on administrative and redundant tasks?
Yeah.
or just replying on prospect stuff a lot. So maybe it can help also generate more time
Yeah.
for actual conversations that matters,
Yeah. Yeah.
investing more time in getting to know and getting to understand really the prospects and the stakeholders.
Yeah. And having, more of that time to really go deeper on that personal level because you're not having to do all the admin.
Yeah.
Well, Hugo, thank you so much. Thank you for taking the time with me today. I think I'm going to rename the episode Psychology 101.
That's
So,
it.
psychology for sales. But before I let you go, I had one more question. So this is the question that we like to end all of our interviews with at Momentum. So what is the must-have for you to put into your digital sales room?
um, I'll say first you have to place everything which is needed for your prospect. For example, I think you have to understand what is the prospect internal sales cycle. I think this is the key, because our role as a sales is to make easy for the prospects to sell internally
Yeah.
the solution. And so, with psychology 101, the lesson you had, you will have understand what
Mm,
is really the psychology, for example, what's the level of stress of your prospect. So what's the level of information that she or he needs to be more efficient in its internal sales process.
mm,
And then, for example, if he needs a special video of you pitching the solution to their specific internal clients, let's do that, and let's add it to the internal sales room.
yeah.
Just understand better and deliver what makes the prospect in the best environment to succeed himself or herself.
Yeah. So if I understand correctly, really that personal content that a prospect can use to really echo your message internally when you're not there, right?
Definitely, because you have to be yourself a sales coach to your
Mm,
prospect. This is sometimes pretty confusing, but
yeah.
that's true. I'm sure that's true.
Yeah. And I mean, I love what you said too earlier about respecting as well the buying process of our prospects rather than just trying to force something onto them, right? And that requires you to be like a coach because you're adapting to the situation that you're in and you're guiding them through it, right?
Definitely, yeah. This is key.
No. Well, great. Hugo, again, thank you so much. It was such an interesting conversation, and I'm sure we'll be in touch.
Thank you, Sarah. Been a
See
pleasure.
you. Bye.
See you. Bye.